Good morning,
Good afternoon.
good evening, wherever you are on this exquisite, amazing, ever changeable planet of ours. I'm Ariel.
I'm Shya.
Welcome to being here.
Yes.
Today is so perfect.
Yes, tell me why.
Well, the episode theme is
Yes.
relaxing into urgency.
Yes.
And somehow we had our schedule a little funky in our heads. And we looked down 40 minutes before this and realized that we had a recording due and people were coming and we needed to get our office ready, ourselves ready. And we relaxed. And in that relaxation, we did the dishes, we handled the cat boxes, we made the bed. I either answered, forwarded, filed 50, 60, 70 emails. Just an amazing amount happened.
But it was effortless.
And then we got here and somehow
The engineer
didn't.
That's right.
I have never recorded this show before. We always have an engineer who manages in the background. And once we realized our other engineers were not available, including Dave, who's visiting Tanya.
In England.
Shout out to you both and Emma
Yes.
as well. I thought, well, we're capable, let's do it. The entire thing was relaxed. Our guests had a moment to make some changes in the air, in air conditioning, all the different aspects. It is wonderful. You can either say, no, it shouldn't be this way and panic, or you can relax into the urgency of the moment.
And see what the moment asks of you, because the moment's always asking something of you. And most of us are stuck in a 2-year-old's behavior of saying no to whatever comes up.
It's not fair. I don't want to brush my teeth.
That's right.
Of course, that wasn't quite 2, but it was close. I remember once I was babysitting kids and it was time for them to brush their teeth.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, let's go brush your teeth, Stephanie. And the little girl said, I only do that on Thursdays. And I'm like, Stephanie, today is Thursday. She said, I mean Mondays. It was she was clever, but she did brush her teeth.
She wasn't clever enough to out-clever you.
No, that was pretty funny though.
Right.
I thought that was very good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, first off, we're not going to try to fix you or change you. We're not going somewhere. We're not trying to get somewhere. We're going to be here. As the moment shifts, we'll follow it or be with it. And we have some guests calling in. And the game is to really listen, not as background, but as what's being said is important because it's happening in your life in this moment.
I know many of you listen regularly to our shows. I don't know if you attend our Living Made Easy seminars, but really this is an extension of that. As you're being here, living is made easy. And Shya talked about something on a recent Saturday morning Living Made Easy seminar. He said, our approach is not about getting you better, fixing you, improving you. It's about being able to be here and experience your life as it's happening rather than think about it and think about how to do it right. So today, as you're listening, you can either skip off into whether or not you panic or whether or not you're relaxed into urgency, or you can simply relax into hearing this conversation as it's happening.
You know, you said doing your life right.
Mm-hmm.
The whole idea of right and wrong is based in change, and it's based in the cultural download that we were all given growing up in the cultures we grew up in. So what's right in one culture may not be right in another culture. transformation is really about what is in the current moment, not what you prefer, not what you think it should be, but just about what is, just seeing what is in your life in current time and not resisting that as though your agenda or ideas of what you want to do with your day or life are more important than the way your life is showing up currently.
And sometimes the way your life is showing up currently are things that you have previously scheduled that in this moment may not appear to be your top preference. I mean, sometimes you schedule things and it's absolutely inappropriate. You've scheduled to go somewhere and you're ill, it's really inappropriate to go. But other times, things that you have preset in place to your mind just seem like their work or a challenge.
Or just no, I don't want to.
It's really wonderful when you can notice that no and effortlessly engage as if what's happening in your life
Or
is your
not,
idea.
or not even have that no show up.
That is really true.
Because it doesn't have to show up. You don't have to bypass a no to get to your moment. You can just have it be easy, effortless, not confrontational with your mind, where you don't want to do something.
I do think for a lot of people at first, it is about that automatic no bypassing.
Absolutely.
We have a client who recently was talking about how her life felt like it was molasses. And we suggested to her that the molasses was the end result, that kind of slow down of experience, that there were a lot of no's that she wasn't catching that preceded it. And we suggested just for an afternoon, she pay attention to how often she had an automatic no. And she wrote us the most upbeat, fun email about how there were so many no's, some of which they just went by, and others of which she invested in. And as she invested in them, her life became molasses-like and miserable. And when she saw it, it popped.
See, transformation doesn't take place over time. That's all change. Transformation happens outside of time, in an instant. You realize that you're saying no to what you have to do. And if you don't judge yourself for it, in that instant, it's over. It leaves. It has no power over your actions. You do. See, what we're really doing is giving you back control of your life, not an idea of how to, but the reality of seeing what is and having that be enough to have your life transformed.
And as you see it, you have a direct experience of being in charge, as opposed to your mind yanking you around from this to that whimsically, usually in a direction that's not so fun.
Well, one of our definitions of transformation is being able to transcend your bratty nature. And your mind is bratty. It wants what it wants. It complains. It argues for its point of view. And the being that exists in each of us doesn't argue for a point of view. It just sees what is.
Let's
anyway,
take our
that's
first
our
guest.
Yes, and see what we've got here.
All right. Looks like we have Maiken. Where are you zooming in from today, Miss Maiken?
Hello, it's Maiken from Hamburg, Germany.
So lovely to be with you.
And it was already fun just to listen to you, what you just said before. I thought, yeah, I can see a lot of myself in that, definitely.
Yes.
Because I'm a physiotherapist and we have holiday times in Germany here now. So some of my staff is away, which means more clients for me. And I love to work with my clients, but I have to feel all the other things I usually do beside of that for the practice, going back and back. So phone calls I would need to do by a certain time, I can't do them suddenly. And I'm kind of a little panicking or getting nervous, at least, when I can't do them and have to push them to next day or next day, because I feel like I'm looking more on what I'm not getting done instead of what I'm getting done.
Yes, that is true. So here's the thing. If you slow down a little bit, you'll get it all done. You think you have to speed up to get everything done because you have so much to do. But if you slow down enough to be here, you'll get things done without even working hard at it. Those calls you have to make will go through rather than you'll get a busy signal or an answering machine.
Now, I know we're releasing this, at least originally, without the video component, although we are doing it in a way that we can see you.
Yes.
What was really fun was when we showed up this morning a little before start time and there was no engineer. You were chatting with our next guest, Emmy, and your face was bright. And then we had a moment, we were going to make it a little cooler in here. We called people. Your face was bright. It was cheery. We were talking about the weather. You talk about
this story
and
you tell
pull
yourself.
a mantle of feeling sorry for yourself. Your face starts to look a little broken. It's very funny because it's all thought driven.
Thought generated.
Wow.
You think about it and then you complain to yourself about what you've been thinking about. Like, I have so much work to do. And in the time that you spend complaining about how much work you have to do, you could get an immense amount of work accomplished because you have this conversation not once a day, but several times a day, maybe even tens of several times a day, or hundreds of several times a day. And in all those conversations, you eat time that could be used to accomplish what you say you want to get done.
So is there a way to catch it quicker?
Well, it starts with honesty. One thing is, in the honesty realm, it's also possible that you're not telling yourself the truth about really needing to answer a phone call in a day. I imagine people who call in recognize that it's vacation time and that there may be a lag. Shya and I recently went on vacation ourselves. And one of the things I used to do is set the auto responder to exact parameters, which meant the next day I better hit the ground running. And the autoresponder on my email, I turned on the day before we left, and I left it through the day after we got back so that I could handle things, but people didn't expect an immediate response. And it allowed me the relaxation to step into what I needed to handle without pre-planning franticity and panic. Because
Interesting that you were franticity, because I was just thinking, what does this franticness to get it all done save you from?
Being with my family.
Yes, try intimacy.
Or intimacy, yeah.
Well, it's actually both, because with your son, there's a type of intimacy where you're sitting perhaps at the table with him, you're having a meal, but you're preoccupied. You're not actually there with him. With your husband, it can be that type of intimacy too, but it can also be physical intimacy or just the being there,
you know,
when
if
he
you're
touches you casually.
If you're so busy that you don't have a life when you're with your family, then you're not being where you are. You're lost in thought. Now, when you're lost in thought, you said something earlier. You said, well, how can I catch it sooner? When you're lost in thought, you can't catch that you're lost in thought because you're lost in thought. But if you slow down a little bit, you know, take a breath, relax, you'll discover that there's a room that you're in, that you're sitting in front of a computer, that everything's okay. You know, I know there's been terrible storms in Germany, but it's not happening in your neighborhood.
Correct.
Right. So you don't have to get lost in that either. It's so easy to get lost in the drama of life rather than be in your experience of living.
You say, luckily, it's not happening in your area, but you, even if it was happening in your area and you were well, you could create a drama around it. We were speaking to a gal yesterday on the Saturday call who's in one of the very hard hit towns. She's fine. They had maybe an inch of water in their cellar, but around them, people are devastated. But she was devastating herself because she felt at least somewhat guilty that it hadn't happened to her. So even though she had a functional kitchen and she was and her husband were able to be making food to bring out to people and do things for people, she created a stress for herself because it didn't happen to her. We are all capable of creating drama out of anything.
And out of nothing. You don't have to have a big dramatic thing going on to get dramatic. If you're upset, everything's dramatic. See, when you are upset, you're not in real time. When you're in real time, it's easy to get an amazing amount accomplished with very little effort.
Okay.
You know, the conversation about all the people you have to call back. First off, I don't think there's that many.
No.
Agreed.
5 or 6. It's not.
Yes,
really.
and if you just did it, it would be done. But then you would have nothing to complain about.
It was interesting for me.
You didn't get that.
Yes, you'd have nothing to complain about, like our cat is now. I don't know if you can hear her, but she's being left out downstairs. Yesterday, I had a number of people that I wanted to, that came up I had like 300 emails, and I went through and I saw who I really needed to email, and I made a list. And then what I did was I looked at the name, I looked up, and I wrote the email rather than, and then there was a card, somebody's mother passed away. I saw that name, I got the card, I did it. It was an interesting thing to watch in that little micro gap between each of those activities, the little mini conversation about whether or not I wanted to. And I just let it go by and did the next activity. I have a feeling, Mike, and you're unaware of how much time you spend talking to yourself about whether or not you want to do that which you will eventually do anyway.
I'm very sure you're right about that. I'm not aware of how much I do there.
There's a righteous attitude in there too. You like to be right. Being right is very important for you. And it does.
True, and I hate it.
Well,
okay. I love
that's
you.
good.
Thank you so much.
So that's great. That's the introduction to the first principle of instantaneous transformation. Anything you don't like or don't want, that's what sticks around. So if you hate your righteous nature, it's going to be everywhere. If you notice it non-judgmentally, as though it's, as though it's the water on the pond, or the ice on the water on the pond, if it happened to be winter, then it would disappear instantly. It would lose its power over you. But you're wanting to be a good person who is not righteous, keeps you stuck in that righteous behavior. And that's all change. See, good, bad, a good person would forgive and not hold grudges. You don't forgive and you don't give up grudges. Good.
Not easily.
Not easily.
No.
See, that's just the nature of the beast. But if you just notice it, allow it, not try to get rid of it, but just see it, because you can't be different than you are in that moment. That's the second principle. In any given moment, you can only be exactly as you are. And if it includes righteousness, that's what's there. If you see it, allow it to be the way it is, it's no longer there. It completes itself in an instant, not over time. You don't do it gradually. Yeah, I hold grudges. Huh, look at that. I have a grudge. It's no big deal. Suddenly that grudge isn't there anymore.
However,
but you can't do it to get rid of it.
Grudges come to, let's say you have a grudge with me. I don't believe you do, but we'll use me. So you have a grudge with me. And then when you're here, it goes into the background. It's not relevant. You don't think of it. But when you're upset, it comes to the foreground and it's between you and me. Or when you don't want to attend to something over here, then it comes to the foreground.
Well, I just realized something. It's part of a survival mechanism.
Yes.
Because you see, you've held grudges and been righteous before, and you survived with that.
Not just you, your family line, everybody's family line.
That's right. But you know, the universal you. And you've survived with that. So your mind keeps that as a survival strategy. And if you were to give that up, it has the idea you won't survive. Like if I don't fight for everything that I get,
I'll be a doormat. Everyone will walk all over me.
And what kind of powerful woman would I be? Independent, powerful woman, if I would have listened to my husband when I spoke to him. You see that?
Yes.
You know, seeing it makes it laughable, actually. See? Because it's all mechanical. And to be angry with a machine for being a machine, well, that's crazy.
Here's the other thing, Mike. You're so much more capable than you give yourself credit for. I mean, your business, you're an entrepreneur. You didn't think of it when you went into business. No, I didn't think of it when we went into business. We were just working. Now there's a name for it, entrepreneurship. So you're an entrepreneur and your business is so successful. You've hired staff to, other physiotherapists. They're on vacation. You're now doing what all of you are normally doing. That is awesome. But what's also awesome is you get to do a check-in on all of the clients that they're taking care of so that you can better manage your staff. How smart of you to have them go away so that you can be there with their clients right now.
Oh, I never saw it that way.
Of course you never saw that way. You saw it through a complaint
of extra work.
And it was a burden rather than an opportunity. See, Mike, and this moment is an opportunity. It's not, you're never going to discover something you can't deal with. That's the other thing. The universe does not give you more than you can deal with. And I know as I say that, I worry. Oh, shoot. If I say that, maybe the universe is going to challenge me and get Ariel sick and I'll have to, the way the mind works. But truly, it doesn't give you more than you can handle. It's all perfect. It's showing up exactly as it's supposed to right now.
I wish I would have your confidence in that, but because I can see.
Well, then I'll tell you what you do. We're going to go back to the theme that we always talk about on this radio show or podcast, and at our seminars. It really is about listening, because I'll bet you there are times when your husband says to you, you are capable, or your clients or your staff.
And he says, don't worry, he'll take care of it. And you don't trust that.
because you're invested in not trusting yourself. So sometimes Shya will say something, I'll have a concern, and Shya said, don't worry, it's going to get handled. I can either invest in my early concern, or I can listen to him and borrow his reality as though it's mine. And then it is. And then it does get taken care of. So if you're looking at us now, you know we are not lying to you. You are capable. So when you say, oh, I wish I, of course you're not going to think that.
But
your
you
mind
see,
is filled with
look,
garbage.
The mind is a machine that repeats conversations over and over and over again. And there was a time that you weren't terribly capable, you know, when you were a young kid. But that conversation still plays. Funny thing, I looked out the window this morning and I saw a cardinal, which is a red bird. It's like the cardinal's clothing, that color red. And then I thought of a robin redbreast. And then I thought, well, robins don't really have red breasts. They're more like orange. And then my mind went to when I was in first grade in school, there was a girl, her name was Robin. What was her last name? And then I came up with her last name. It was interesting because I'm 80 years old. So that means 74 years ago,
you knew a girl
I
named Robin?
knew a girl named Robin. And, you know, it's just, your mind is just this machine that spits up conversation. And most of it is negative. And most of it says, I'll never get this done. Or, you know, it got you attention when you were upset. See, your parents worried about you when you got upset. When you were happily playing, they left you alone.
I don't think you need to go back to 6, meaning your son has just graduated what we would call high school here. I'm not sure what you call it there. And there were plenty of times where he was invested in self-doubt, which was really masquerading for, I don't want to do my homework.
Yeah.
And so I have a feeling some of your self-doubts are similar in nature to those teenage years when really it's a conversation of, I don't want to do it. Now, that's not a problem. There are times now when I don't want to do things. And if I'm honest about it, I look and see if it needs to be done. And if it doesn't need to be done, I don't do it. But I'm not talking to myself about I should be, because then I don't get rest. And then when I really rest and I come back to do that thing, I'm very pleased at it.
Okay.
You said there's one other thing.
Yeah, there's one other thing. You don't listen to me the same way you listen to Ariel.
Oh.
You know, when Ariel says something, you're all there. When I say something to you, you're kind of backing yourself, being cautious. And I assert, that's without proof, but it's
observation.
More an observation in relationship to how you're relating to me. You don't listen to your husband like you would a girlfriend.
Yeah, that is true.
And you hold him in an adversarial position rather than as your partner.
What is adversarial?
Adversarial, like he's on the other side. So if you were playing a game of volleyball, he's the other team, hence the enemy. The one you have to defeat so you can win.
The one you have to be right and cannot show any sign of weakness.
He's not
by listening to him.
He's not your teammate. He's on the other side of the net.
Yeah.
So if you're good, you're going to spike that ball back down and win the game all in one shot.
But it might be much more supportive of your work and the rest of your life to have him be included as a friend
And partner.
and partner rather than an enemy. See, look, every time he says something to you, you tighten up.
Yeah.
And from time to time, feel sorry for yourself, which makes it hard to just have that straight conversation.
And so the game, my dear, is to take a breath, relax, realize whatever he's going to say is not going to hurt, and just listen. And notice that your mind says, no, 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 I don't agree. Let that set aside. Hear his point of view. You can do it. I know you can.
I have one last thing for you, Mike, and that's going to make it easier.
Okay.
I think you're under the misconception that number one, the not wanting to listen to him is a bad thing, and number two, that when you get better, and I'm putting better in air quotes, that tendency to not listen will leave. And I just want you to know it's never going away. It's hard baked into you.
I have to intentionally listen to Ariel.
I have to intentionally listen to Shya. And you look at us and you think we're different. We're not different than you. We just have recognized that we have automatic, reflexive ways of relating. And when you're here, you can see that automaticity and you don't have to collapse into it. You can just let it pass by and be here.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Have fun the rest of your time seeing what else is possible for your clients while your staff is on vacation.
Thank you very much. Really
You're
looking
very
forward to go to
welcome.
work tomorrow.
That's great. And thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, guys. It was lovely.
It's time for our listener feedback spotlight, where we hear from one of our listeners about how transformation has impacted her life or his life.
If you want to learn more about our seminars, any of the upcoming virtual courses, visit transformationmadeeasy.com.
That is transformation made easy, easy.com.
I love it.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Judy in Manhattan. What I love about transformation is when I stop thinking, I start being, and I fall into the moment and life gets easy.
Do you want to have well-being with consistency? Connect with people all over the world from the comfort of your own home at Ariel and Shya's lively interactive Living Made Easy virtual seminars. Join any of their 2-hour online events or take a deep dive into the magic of being you at a virtual weekend seminar. Come on, let's connect. Find out more and register at transformationmadeeasy.com.
Upcoming, we have some Living Made Easy seminars on Saturdays and Mondays and even Tuesday. But you should check your schedule for the dates as at the time of recording, and we don't have it firmly in place. So just go to our website, transformationmadeeasy.com, and register for any and all. Also, we have the Simplicity course coming up September 25th and 26th. It's a virtual seminar via Zoom. There will be people from all over the world in all different time zones, so you are welcome to be a part of it. And
we have Costa Rica opening in, it's open now for registrations for 2022.
Again, if you want to find out more, and if you'd like to join us for an in-person seminar in Costa Rica, or any of our virtual seminars, just go to transformationmadeeasy.com and you can find out more.
Yeah. We have another guest.
Yes, Emmy. Welcome to being here.
Hi. Well,
Hi.
thank you.
Where are you zooming in from?
I am zooming in from Richmond, Virginia. And
You recently put Richmond on the map. You were on a Saturday, and
Yeah.
Ralph in Cologne was saying he realized he was nodding, oh yes, Richmond, and he had no clue where it was, and they were going to go look up where Richmond was placed in the United States.
Yeah, it's the capital, so it might be easy to find
It's
for
the
them.
capital of
Of Virginia. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Not the United States.
No, no,
maybe in
no.
Virginia.
We're
Yeah.
we're 2 hours south of Washington, D.C.
Yeah,
Yep,
Milford's the capital of the United States. as
that's
far as I'm
right.
concerned. You know, wherever you live is the capital.
Oh,
What can we do for you, lovely?
Yes.
yeah.
What can we
Thank
do?
you. Thank you. Well, I love the topic, relaxing into urgency. So I'd like to talk about, I'm dating, and it's been fun. Yet at the same time, what I'm experiencing right now. I'm just going to, I had seen a man in Virginia Beach, which is 2 hours away, a few times before COVID. And we happened to be, I saw him on the dating site, and I kind of sat down and I swiped right. So and he had already swiped right on me. So we were.
Swipe right, saying you're both interested. Swipe left says I'm not
Right.
interested. Okay.
Right.
For those of us who are archaic and haven't been on dating sites for a while.
Or ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Forever, yes.
So we decided we were going to meet up, and I had been wanting to go to the beach. So I thought I would just reserve an Airbnb and go over so I can get my toes in the sand, and we could see each other and, be together a little bit too. And so I booked an Airbnb. That was Friday night. And he had given me he works part-time, so he'd given me his work schedule. And I booked it for August 12th through 15th. And I got a text on Saturday. You won't believe this. I booked the flight Friday night, yes, for August 12th through the 15th. And
So you didn't communicate to him that you booked the Airbnb, and he didn't communicate that he was planning to
Come up and visit you.
No. And
That's a yes, right?
I mean, yes, that's a yes. Yeah.
Okay, good. Because you said no, but it really is the way it worked out.
It is.
So what's the problem?
How did you resolve it?
Well, I can see that my mind right now, I haven't spoke with him. I did text with him, but I can see in my mind, I want to make myself wrong. Like my mind is sort of frantic about it. And
well, look, either way, it's fine. I mean, you could go to Virginia Beach. He could come to Richmond. You could wiggle your toes in the sand. He can wander around Richmond. It's the capital.
yes.
And he could go sightseeing. It doesn't matter. It's all going to work out. But getting frantic about it doesn't make it work out.
The other thing is I think that airlines in particular right now have the ability to let people transfer to different dates. It never used to be the way, but there's a lot more flexibility with that.
But even so, if it was just, how long ago was this?
Oh, it's just Friday, this Friday. I just found out yesterday. I mean, it's right this week happening, so I can feel that frantic kind of like,
it's interesting that you got frantic rather than communicate right away, because even prior to the flexibility, if somebody books an airline, they usually have 24 hours to cancel.
Right.
So you had a conversation with yourself rather than attending
have a conversation with him.
That's true. That's true.
Look,
yeah.
You're talking about something called intimacy.
Yes.
That's what you're talking about. And intimacy is frightening for a lot of people. The idea of being vulnerable, you don't know where it's going to go. And you may not have somebody in your life right now, but you're comfortable. And so suddenly this change comes into your reality. And now you have to deal with things like trust and relaxation and allowing your life to show up the way it does. And that's frightening to your mind, because your mind is in a routine now. You know, you got your life pretty well down, and this dating thing becomes an intrusion in the relaxed nature of your life. And you have a lot of weight in this dating thing, that if it doesn't work out, it means something about you rather than you guys aren't just a fit.
Yeah, I do have that weight. I do feel that. Go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it's like you're jumping into I made a mistake rather than recognizing this individual had enough interest in being with you that he purchased a ticket, and you had enough interest in being with him, although you want to cover it with, well, I really wanted to go to the beach.
Yes.
That you booked an Airbnb.
Yeah.
So there's something very sweet about that. Even if you two aren't a match and it doesn't work out, but I really like what Shya is talking to you about. Instead of allowing yourself to just experience the vulnerability that comes along with dating, you can create a whole drama.
And then you don't have to feel that vulnerability because you're lost in upset.
And I know you were listening, Emmy, to what the conversation we had with Mike. And I think you're under the misconception that concern or hesitancy for intimacy will go away when you find the one. But even now, 39 years later,
into this relationship,
there are moments where we need to relax into the vulnerability of being with one another. We can either find ways to shunt that off, or we can not be here. We can be off thinking about other things, or we can recognize that there's a natural hesitancy to being vulnerable and take a breath. It's
that's
simple.
I noticed myself holding my breath as I was listening to Mike. I felt myself holding my breath instead of sort of relaxing in, and a few things that were being talked about. So,
well, you're holding your breath because you're afraid you'll hear something that will impact your behavior.
Yeah,
and as much as you complain about the way you behave, it's normal for you. You're used to being this way. It's not too confrontational. It's kind of relaxed. And yeah, I get upset from time to time, but I know my upsets. If I invite a guy in now, I don't know how I'll deal with those upsets.
I think that's so true. I remember like thinking, I'm pissed, like I'm upset, that we did.
That he's interested enough to book a ticket. To fly and see you.
Why didn't he ask me first? Why didn't
Well, no, he's not coming to see me. He actually got asked to play in a golf tournament. So he booked a ticket. Yeah, he's not coming to see me. So and so we're not going to be in the same. Same place.
Well, maybe you should just go to the beach.
I am. I think I'll just go and see what's possible. And enjoy it.
Who knows who you might meet at the beach?
Sometimes that happens. Shya once talked about how a friend invited him to be part of a charter flight. Wasn't it a charter to go? No, it was a different one.
It was a friend, but I know who you mean.
Yeah.
Was going to go and do a seminar in Boston, and I was living in Maine. And I said I'd go with him and I'd meet him there, and he never showed up, but it was a very impactful seminar for me.
So
I got the value.
You used him as the device to go to an Airbnb for a weekend if he's not there, then who knows what else is possible.
What else? Right?
And you're not married to him.
You know the thing.
You're not engaged with him. He is.
I know
just
my
a
mind wants
person.
to say I am.
Yes, I know. That's why I said what I said.
But that's because
Okay.
you're pre-wired not to date, Emmy. You're pre-wired to find a relationship.
Oh yeah, I do see that. I can see that I am so invested, like in finding a relationship,
But
and just, to even relax into that.
Yeah, but I think you're not listening to Shia.
Oh,
And let me tell you what he said to you. As much as you think you want a relationship, you're very comfortable the way you are.
okay.
So when the possibility of a relationship comes up, you may actively be doing things to make sure that doesn't
To
happen.
sabotage it.
Yeah, I have had a thought that I'll, like, if I think that they're going to reject me, I'm going to reject them first. Like I will do something to sabotage the relationship.
Well, even that you use the word reject.
Hmm.
If you're not a fit, you're not a fit. It's not that they're rejecting you. It's not something about you. You're just not a fit. Look, Ariel was an actress when I met her, and she'd go to auditions, and they wanted a Latino woman, and she's far from Latino. So she would not be picked for that role. It isn't that they're rejecting her. It's just not a fit. You have it as rejecting you rather than you're not interested in him. Because I got news for you. The women choose the men more than the men choose the women.
And it's clear you're not interested in him. Just because you both swiped right doesn't mean you're interested in him. And how I know is you made your plans to go there and you didn't tell him.
Mm.
And something else came up that he said yes to in a pretty short time frame to that date. So it's like there's a there is empirical proof that you like your life the way it is.
And then there's revisionist history where you selectively find reasons why it doesn't work that support your point of view. But in fact, he booked what he booked, you booked what you booked, and you did imply, however, that he was coming to see you.
You did imply that.
And you were going to see
Okay.
him. So you implied that. But it wasn't the case. The case was you wanted to go to the beach, and he has a golf tournament.
So he didn't really want to come see you. You were an add-on, and you didn't really want to see him. He was an add-on.
I can see that.
And then it's just information. Oh, okay. Well, he might be nice for a casual evening or something, but this is somebody 2 hours away. It's not somebody I really want to build my life on anyway.
Yeah, I've had that thought. Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't it funny, the idea that your life is incomplete without a man?
Yeah.
And that his interest is in golf, but you might be able to change that.
Good project.
That's her project.
I feel like know me.
I do. I mean, I just read it. It's so simple.
Not just you, Emmy.
But it's you in this moment.
But if you depersonalize it, you see that you were raised in a culture that had certain values.
Yeah, there's all this craziness about vaccines these days. This disinformation, that it's going to somehow hurt you. And I was watching television today, and there was a doctor talking about, it was Fauci actually, talking about how polio and smallpox would still be diseases today that would kill people and maim people except that everybody went and got vaccinated and they eliminated the disease. This is just like that, except it's in a very polarized political time. So people believe disinformation and then go about living their lives being right at the cost of potentially their health or life.
Yeah, I can see that. I have this belief that to fit into society, I need to be with a man.
That's an interesting belief.
But so you can include that belief, but I have a belief that a good wife makes breakfast.
Mm.
And yet that belief gets challenged every single day. I would say I make breakfast 2-3 times a year.
Mm.
Shya makes breakfast, and it challenges my belief every single day.
But it's not that I make breakfast to challenge her beliefs. I just make breakfast.
Mm.
It's that simple.
Mm-hmm.
He makes breakfast art.
I make breakfast
It's
art.
gorgeous. It often
Aw.
comes with a fresh basil leaf, or it's just beautiful.
Oh,
He enjoys it.
yeah.
I tend to.
This morning's breakfast was more utilitarian because we had things to do in a hurry.
Mm.
We realized that we had this show or podcast scheduled, and we didn't realize it until 40 minutes
It
before.
was
So
so beautiful, though.
thank you.
Yeah.
I do my best.
Yeah.
But you see, look, my dear, you can go about your life where everything you do is a thing of beauty.
Mm.
Everything you touch, everything you relate to.
Mm. I like that. I mean, yeah.
All it takes is being here.
Yes.
And you're a perfect Emmy, including your enculturation about
Mhm.
relationship
And your foibles.
and all.
Mm. Thank you. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Really lovely being with you
Yeah,
today.
thank you.
Lovely being here. Thank you.
And this time with Emmy is perfect because it sets us up for next week's episode. But before I talk about that, I just wanted to say, if you enjoyed being on this podcast, Emmy, or if you enjoyed listening to this podcast,
Share it with people.
and you can leave a review on your favorite podcast app. It helps people find being here and find what's possible. So, and if you feel to do that, thanks in advance. And if you don't do it. It's like, why make yourself do something you don't want? Next week's episode is limitless. It's about the limitlessness of being you. We'll be back next week.
So come on back.
And don't miss
Being
here.